bumi Palestin secara rasminya menjadi bumi yang menjadi sebahagian daripada wilayah Islam. Palestine became the part of the Muslim territory during the Battle of Yarmouk di zaman Umar bin Al-Khattab. Byzantine, Eastern Roman civilization was always the otherness of Muslim. The others fighting sebab share border antara non-Muslim civilization dengan Muslim civilization. So di zaman Umar bin Al-Khattab, Palestin itu telah kekuasaan Byzantine ke atas Masjidil Aqsa, Jerusalem pada masa itu telah berakhir dan Palestin menjadi sebahagian daripada wilayah Islam. To summarize, for so many years, di zaman itu hingga ke zaman depan-depan, ketika when Jerusalem was under Muslim leaders, was under Muslim rule, Muslims, Christians, Jews were coexist living peacefully sepanjang masa. There was no conflict. And we need to also embrace in our mind that the battle that happening now in Palestine is not necessarily battle between religion, because Muslims, Christians and Jews were already had long peaceful experience coexist living together. 1492 Conquista di Spain, where in Spain, not only Muslims but Jews also were expelled from the Peninsula of Iberia. Yang memberikan perlindungan kepada orang Yahudi adalah the Ottoman Empire. Ketika Holocaust, ketika antisemitism meningkat di Eropah, in Russia, in France, in German, Sultan Abdul Hamid, long before Theodor Herzl approached him, were already invited Jews persecuted by anti-Semitists in Europe to seek protection in Istanbul. Because Muslims do not have a reason to hate people just because of different faith. And it's very strange. Anti-Semitism was done by Europeans against Jews, and now they are paying revenge kepada orang yang tak ada kena-mengena dengan anti-Semitism dan Holocaust in Palestine. Why? Shouldn't you try to find your land and revenge somewhere inside the area where people persecuted you? What did Palestinians do wrong that made them became your target? Agak mencabar benda tu kan. Jadi kalau ke depan lagi, nanti saya break sekejap ya. Satu lagi cabaran yang timbul ialah bila kita mengkaji sejarah, it's quite challenging nak masukkan kisah para nabi dan rasul ni dekat mana. Ya, terima kasih. Because if we follow the methodology of historians and also archaeologists, contohnya dalam artikel yang saya letak di awal tadi, the author claim migration Moses daripada Egypt ke Palestin semua tu, it never happened. It's a myth. Because there's no historical evidence to prove that except from Bible, and Bible is not scientific, academic, reliable resources according to historians. So we also need to ask ourselves, sebagai orang Islam, macam mana kita nak adjust benda tu? Kalau kita kata, we believe those things happen because Al-Quran says so, how can we say that without sounds like, just like Jews claiming the same thing from their scripture? A bit challenging lah. Dan ada setengah-setengahnya yang memang tak boleh selesaikan. Contohnya macam Toha Hussein, seorang sastrawan Mesir yang sangat terkenal. Dia menulis dalam buku dia, Fi Syi'ril Jahili, dia kata, mengikut sejarah, sebenarnya kewujudan Ibrahim juga tidak boleh dibuktikan. Dia sebut macam tu. So, my question is, to especially young generation, can you establish a fact based on Quran? Itu soalan yang mencabar. So, it requires another process. Prosesnya ialah, how do you establish Quran itu benar? Not just because you are Muslim, but you are capable to prove that Quran is actually word of God. There's nothing in there except truth. You need to establish that one first. Sebab nanti kat depan akan ada banyak benda yang we cannot establish except because they are mentioned in the Quran. Itu mungkin agak kompleks sikit lah perbincangan dia. Jadi para Nabi dan Rasul ni macam mana kita nak masukkan? Jadi saya senaraikan dekat sini beberapa orang Nabi dan Rasul dan estimate masa di mana mereka berada tu tak penting sangat. Tapi bermula dengan yang pertama ya. Nabi Ibrahim AS, biblical name Abraham, region Mesopotamia and then Palestine. Ishak, Isaac, Kan'an referring to dekat Palestine itulah. Ismail, Arabia, berhijrah ke Saudi Arabia, ke Mekah yang ada pada hari ini. Yakub, anak kepada Ishak, Jacob, Kan'an, Palestine. Yusuf, Egypt, Musa, Egypt, Palestine. David ya, Palestine. Sulaiman di Palestin. Kemudian Nabi Isa di Palestin dan kemudian Nabi Muhammad SAW di semenanjung tanah Arab untuk kita nak susunkan. Sejarah yang panjang yang menjadi cabaran kepada kita untuk menyusunnya, tapi macam kita sebut tadilah, mungkin bulan depan boleh detailkan lagi ke, hari ini kita macam bagi big picture dia dulu. Another question yang kita nak jawab pula, what about the Jewish people? Orang-orang Yahudi pada hari ini terbahagi kepada beberapa kelompok orang Yahudi. They are categorized into different group of Jews. So antaranya, yang pertamanya adalah Ashkenazim, yang merujuk kepada orang-orang Yahudi yang daripada Eropah. Okey, satu lagi grup Yahudi adalah Sephardim, iaitu orang-orang Yahudi yang keluar daripada kawasan Palestin itu, pergi ke arah North Africa dan juga di Spain. Okey. Satu lagi kumpulan Yahudi adalah Yahudi Donme, yang saya tambah dekat situ, iaitu orang Yahudi yang melarikan diri daripada Spain 1492. Donme Jewish were the Jews who were expelled from Spain in 1492, but they seek protection in Ottoman Empire. There was a leader known as Sabbatai Levi. So they were the followers of Sabbatai Levi. They embrace Islam, but keep some Jewish practices in them. And they were the most important people in Ottoman's economy. Yeah, so known as the Donme Jewish. Another group of Jews adalah Oriental Jews. So Oriental Jews referring to Jews from the East. So they are Jews who didn't go anywhere. So they were in Palestine, they were in Iraq. Many of them were speaking Arabic as their language. They have different culture. And then there's another group known as Beta Israel. So they are the Ethiopians Jews. Jadi orang-orang Yahudi ni ada banyak pecahan. So orang Yahudi, the Zionists in Palestine now, mainly accommodating Sephardic, but more importantly, Ashkenazim Jews. Meaning that the Jewish that were from European cities, European countries, migrated. So some of them were from daripada Germany, daripada Russia, mereka ni datang ke sini. So setiap mereka tu ada bahasa yang sedikit berbeza, culture yang sedikit berbeza, dan mereka semua ni keluar daripada Palestin yang officialnya dikatakan ketika Babylon, when Babylon was attacking Palestine, so they were forced to leave. But recent studies show not all Jews left Palestine because they were forced to leave, but naturally, many of them left because of economic pressure, so and so, they wanted to find a better life, so they went to different places. So it was not like black and white dramatic process. They were forced to leave and became diaspora here and there. Okay, so Yahudi ni ada macam-macam. Tapi dekat Israel sendiri, Ethiopian Jews discriminated by the Jewish themselves due to the color of their skin. Many Jews from the Oriental Jews didn't want to move to Palestine. Many of them were in Iraq. They speak Arabic language. They coexist happily with Arabs, Muslim dekat Iraq. But there was some plan that was done, especially by English, that pushed the Iraqi government to put pressure on the Jews to leave Iraq and move to Palestine. So today, the Oriental Jews were hoping to be granted permission to return to their homeland, which is Iraq. They wanted to leave Palestine and come to Iraq because they were forced to become part of Israel, while they do not want to associate themselves with the project. Okay. Astaghfirullahalazim, banyaknya kan. Okay, 2 slide lagi and then saya kena stop lah. Lepas tu kita tengok macam mana ya. Okay, apakah peristiwa-peristiwa penting yang berlaku, yang menyebabkan berlakunya, yang terjadinya Palestin? What were the major historical events that led to the formation of Israel? Okay. You have to check back what you learn at school, anak-anak semua, children. You studied history. So maybe you studied the rise of nationalism, 17th century, 18th century. So in Europe at that time, the consciousness about who we are and why we are different than those people started to emerge. So rather than thinking themselves as Christians, some started to check back their ethnicity. So we are French, we are English, we are Serbian, we are Croatian, we are Bosnian, we are Bulgarian, we are Armenian. That was something new that started to take place around 17th, 18th century because of changes in the development of ideology during that time. So all this group of people, rather than living under empire, Austro-Hungarian Empire, French Empire, English Empire, including Ottoman Empire, they started to question, why should we let outsiders rule us? For example, Arabs might ask, we are Arabs, why should we rule by Turks? So they started to see Ottoman as Turks rather than Muslims. Armenians started to say, we shouldn't live under the Ottoman. We are not them. We have different culture. So the environment was like that. So a part of that kind of progress that took place in 17th, 18th century, the Jewish community, all scattered around European, started to think the same thing. Jews also should have their own country. The problem is, all these people, katalah orang Kurdi kan, we should have our own country, the Kurdish country. Where? Here, where we are. Okay? Bulgarian, we should not be part of Ottoman. We should have our own country. Where? Here. Because they were there. French, here. Everybody, here. But when it comes to Jews, we also need to have a country. Where? Some are here, some are there, some are there. Where should we form the country? They were not religious Jews. Theodor Herzl dan sebagainya. So apa yang berlaku ialah mereka berkumpul beberapa tahun sebelumnya, tapi yang besarnya adalah di Basel, Switzerland. 1897. So I show you all the major things that happened that lead to the formation of Israel. Okay. Ketika negara-negara Eropah mula membentuk kebangkitan, Napoleon Bonaparte dilawan, semua-semua ni lah, negara-negara nak merdeka, semua benda ni, Muslims had the Ottoman Empire. We don't ask the question, Malaysia pula macam mana? Tu nanti esok baru balik kan ya. Malaysia pula macam mana masa tu? Tu cerita lain. Tu mungkin minggu depan. Okey. Di sebelah tanah Arab, also aka Middle East, we have Ottoman Empire. Palestine was part of the Ottoman Empire since 1517. Okey. Siapa yang memerintah, macam mana Ottoman boleh masuk ke Palestin 1511, juga tajuk yang panjang, Sultan Salim. Sultan Salim asalnya tak kisah pun sebab ketika itu Palestin duduk di bawah pentadbiran Mamluki. So Mamluki is just another Muslim leaders, which is fine. 1500, a new government formed in Iran, known as the Ismailiyah Safavid Empire. The Shia Empire, 1500, Ismail Shah became enemy of the Ottoman Empire. So instead of attacking directly Ottoman Empire, Safavid collaborated with Mamluki. So Mamluki betrayed Ottoman to fight against Ottoman. And because of the injustice in terms of tax, people from Palestine, from Syria, from Sham, Halab and etc., they send letters to Sultan Salim, please come and get rid of the Mamluks from us. Mamluk came from Egypt. We don't want to live under them. So Sultan Salim came. It is also an exciting story because Sultan Salim, when he came to Palestine 1517 though, he came together with all the equipments, including camels that brought some books. Sultan Salim, I like him a lot. One of the reasons is because he was a book reader. So tengah perang pun bawa buku juga. Kan? So malam-malam masa perang tu, bila tu baca buku. Ya, Sultan Salim. Okay, so Ottoman Empire mentadbir Palestin sehingga sampai ke zaman Sultan Abdul Hamid. While Palestine was under Ottoman Empire, Jewish started to gather by Theodor Herzl. Ada lagi yang sebelumnya. So Theodor Herzl 1897, 1897, they gathered around 200 of them in the first Jewish Zionist Congress in Basel, Switzerland. It was at that time they decided to form an independent state for the Jewish people in Palestine. The challenge was Palestine was under the Ottoman. So Theodor Herzl sent a letter before the Congress in Basel, Switzerland, 1897. He sent the first letter 1896, asking permission from the Sultan Abdul Hamid II, to allow Jewish people to migrate and to stay and buy some land from Palestine. Sultan Abdul Hamid did not respond. 1897, he initiated from Vienna, Austria. They gathered in Basel, Switzerland. They decided we should proceed with this project. So he tried to meet Sultan Abdul Hamid again. 1897, he sent someone to arrange the appointment. So I will show you a video. This video is a film. It does not tell the whole truth because he did not meet Sultan Abdul Hamid in that manner. But it's okay. Kita tengok dulu, nanti saya ulas sedikit. Yeah? It's in Turkish language, but you might need, translation ada kat bawah, subtitle kan. So Theodor Herzl came and met Sultan Abdul Hamid, asking permission from Sultan Abdul Hamid to allow Jews to migrate to Palestine. And this is what has been shown in the small portion of the drama. Sebab tak nampak kan. Jadi saya je lah cerita kan. Okey, Theodore Herzl berjumpa dengan Sultan Abdul Hamid, meminta agar Sultan Abdul Hamid membenarkan orang-orang Yahudi berhijrah beramai-ramai ke Palestin serta membeli tanah untuk membangunkannya di situ. Sultan Abdul Hamid mengatakan bahawa apa yang kamu minta itu bukan aku punya. Palestine does not belong to me personally. Palestine belong to my people. They got Palestine with their blood, and you cannot tear Palestine from the body of my people except with your blood. So Theodore Herzl argued, saying that our intention is not to build a state. We just want to live close to the holy city. There is no plan. So in this video, actually tak macam tu pun, nanti betul lah ya. So he showed him a photo about the Congress 1897 where they draw the David Star, which means that the intention was actually to have a state from Euphrates River to Mediterranean Sea, to Nile River. Daripada sungai Nil sampailah ke sungai Furat. So it was not just a migration, it was a plan to build a state against a state, which is the Ottoman Empire. Baik, Sultan Abdul Hamid tidak membenarkan dan telah enforce visa. So orang-orang, for the Jewish people who were ongoing visiting the holy city for pilgrimage, because of this event, Sultan Abdul Hamid enforced some rules to limit pilgrims who visited Jerusalem were allowed to be there only for 1 month, and they must leave the Holy Land after the visa expired to control. But after the conversation between Sultan Abdul Hamid and Theodore Herzl ongoing until 1902, Theodore Herzl, together with the Zionist movement, they knew that as long as Sultan Abdul Hamid and Ottoman Empire there, our project to build an Israel state in Palestine can never happen. We must get rid of him and the empire totally. So, berlakulah beberapa yang seterusnya. Apakah yang dilakukan oleh Zionis ni tadi? Kita tengok sikit ya, Tuan Saudara Hamid, 2 minit saya rasa video dia. So, who was Sultan Abdul Hamid? To put in some context, now it is quite easy for us to say Sultan Abdul Hamid defended Palestine. He was a good leader because historians work hard to improve what we know about Sultan Abdul Hamid. Back then, not long time ago, 1995, the first time when I went to Istanbul, there was a small conference to reread about Sultan Abdul Hamid. So there were like some posters of him in Istanbul, and I saw with my own eyes some people throw stone, brick to the poster. Because before that, 1995, 1980s, Sultan Abdul Hamid, the narrative about him saying that he was a dictator, he slaughtered people, he murdered Armenians. In Arab countries, he was known as the Red Sultan. In Europe, they mock him as the sick man of Europe. And so many other things. What we knew today about Sultan Abdul Hamid is very recent. After we managed to get many documents released by, especially public office record in Kew Garden dekat UK. So we read and we understand even more. So in order to defend Palestine, Sultan Abdul Hamid lost his throne. He was toppled down by his own people who worked together, the Young Turks, who have some conspiracy with the Zionist movement. So there's a 2 minutes video about him.
The last great leader of the Ottoman Empire. He ruled for over 30 years, from 1876 to 1900. great lengths to preserve Mecca and Medina and funded major projects within the two cities, including a modern water system in Mecca to protect it from flooding, and the Hijaz train line that connected Istanbul to Palestine and Medina. His expertise in politics was praised by many of his contemporaries, with Lord John Fisher saying he is the most skillful and quick-thinking diplomat in all of Europe. Otto von Bismarck said, of all intelligence in Europe, 90% is in Abdul Hamid, 5% is in myself, and 5% in everyone else. When he was bribed to hand over Palestine to the Zionists, he responded, I cannot hand over the land that does not belong to me, but rather it is for all of the Islamic nation.
Kudüs ölürse, Kudüs düşerse, sen sanki bütün İslam beldeleri düştün.
His firm stance eventually led to his overthrow by the Young Turks, a group of secular liberals in Turkey. In 1909, he was thus placed under house arrest and lived to see the former caliphate fall to European imperialists. The Europeans devoured the resources of the Muslim caliphate and worked hard to replace Islamic unity with division and nationalism. He famously said in regards to this, had I been ruling the Ottoman Empire, I would have kept the Europeans fighting each other so that the Muslims could continue living in peace. On February 10th, 1918, after Fajr prayer, he passed away, and he was laid to rest in a mausoleum in Sultanahmet, Istanbul. May Allah shower His mercy on Abdul Hamid II and grant him the highest rank in paradise.
So one way to see what happened was the importance, significance and magnitude of Palestine issue is or was, in order to make Israel happen, the Ummah paid the price of losing Ottoman Empire. Maybe a bit dramatic, because not just Ottoman Empire, many other empires also collapsed because of so many other reasons, but there was a direct force to remove Sultan Abdul Hamid and the Ottoman Empire. Okay, 3 things to be remembered. Yang modern history, we left it for some time later on. 3 things that led to the establishment of Israel were done by the British rule at that time. Okay, so there were 3 promises made by English, which they had no right to make that promise, but they made that 3 promises that led to the establishment of Israel. The first one, not from outside, not with enemies, but from inside. This is very important, because Arnold Toynbee said in one of his books, he said, civilizations died from suicide and not murder. Meaning that all power collapsed because of internal problem. So what happened was, Britain, there was a communication between not Lawrence of Arabia, somewhere else, I forgot his name. I had the note but too tired to open the note. So Britain promised to Sharif Hussein bin Ali, the photo here, if he was the Sharif of Mecca. So Sharif Hussein bin Ali was the descendant of the Abbasid Empire, Kerajaan Abbasiyah. Dia adalah Sharif Mekah yang jaga Mekah pada masa itu. Sultan Abdul Hamid, when he was the Raja Muda, he came to France. And when he came to France with his father, uncle semua untuk tengok istana Versailles kat Paris tu, saya tak tahu nak sebut dia. People in Europe already recognize him. This guy is dangerous because he showed no sign of being impressed by whatever he saw. He was observing the French Revolution and everything. So Sultan Abdul Hamid knew something big is going to happen in the very near future. He knew in Mecca there was someone important, Sharif Hussein bin Ali. And he was not that smart to understand the world politics. So Sultan Abdul Hamid invited Sharif Hussein bin Ali to Istanbul, but with the intention to keep him with him, to keep Sharif Hussein bin Ali with him, so that the English will have no access to meet Sharif Hussein bin Ali. But he managed to escape. And Sultan Abdul Hamid also toppled masa tu. So English contacted Sharif Hussein bin Ali and promised him, if you agree to fight against the Ottoman, we will recognize you as the king of Hijaz or the king of Arab. Your kingdom will be between Iraq and Tunisia, known as Ad-Dawlah Al-Arabiyah Al-Kubra. So we will recognize you as the king of all Arabs. Remember, as I said just now, during this time, that was the wave. People started to think Arab should be ruled by Arab, Turk should be ruled by Turk, Persian should be ruled by Persian. So Sharif Hussein bin Ali agreed. He launched an attack from Medina in 1906, 5 of June. 5 of June 1916, attacking the Ottoman at that time. Why this date is important? Because this date, 5 June 1916, is celebrated every year, 5th June, public holiday, where? In a country known as the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan. So Jordan celebrate that date as the beginning of their country. Because Sharif Hussein bin Ali, his son, was Faisal and Abdullah. Faisal became the king of Iraq. Abdullah became the king of Jordan. Abdullah is the son of, is the father of King Talal, and then King Talal Hussein and Abdullah. Now is King Abdullah in Jordan, King Abdullah great grandfather. Okay, so when English promised him to become the leader of the Arabs, at the same time, the British also made another promise among themselves, and that is known as, I missed one slide I think, Sykes-Picot Agreement. So Sykes-Picot Agreement was a secret agreement between Britain and France / Russia and Italy to draw a map. After World War I, when we managed to get rid of the Ottoman Empire, this will be the new map of the region, and you take what is within your interest, I take what is within my interest, while at the same time they promised to Sharif Hussein bin Ali to make him become the leader of all Arabs. So this was a secret agreement back then, but then it has been made public. So you can see until now the map that was produced in 1916. Was it 1916? 1917? 1916 actually. The Sykes-Picot Agreement to create the new map of that country. Sharif Hussein bin Ali gained nothing except the small area that also become a problem later on. So the second promise the Britain did to form Israel was promising France, and with some assistance with Russia and Italy, you know, to this nice apple pie, you cut into small pieces, I take this, you take that. As if this land has no owners and people. And the third promise is the very important one, Balfour Declaration. So Lord Arthur Balfour was the Prime Minister in Britain. So when he was the Prime Minister of Britain, there was one pharmacist, I don't remember his name. So he was a pharmacist, a Jewish Zionist, very, very rich because he owned some patents in pharmacy industry, and they became close friends. So after that, there was still war. Westminster was not operating normally, so there was no parliament at that time. They were only being discussed by 4 or 5 people in the cabinet of war. And in that discussion, Lord Balfour sent this letter to Rothschild, the richest Zionist supporter in the world about the money system and everything, promising them, if you support us, Britain, we will help you to establish Israel. So that declaration submitted to Rothschild and has been approved in the American Congress in 1922. So in this declaration, this is the declaration that say Palestine is the land of no people that should be granted to the people who have no land. Palestine was not belong to Britain. They were promising a land that did not belong to them to someone else. So Balfour Declaration was celebrated. As you can see, this is a stamp in 1967 celebrating Balfour Declaration 1917 granted Palestine to the Zionist movement. So 3 crimes committed by Britain to materialize the idea of establishing Israel as the state, Zionist state for the Jewish people. Okay, I have to stop. It's inhumane to continue. I'm not Zionist, to slaughter you today with my slides. I still have a lot. Kalau kat depan ni lah, post World War I, what happened? And then post First Intifada, what happened? And then other conflicts, some other conflicts that happen all around the world. Why it became like that? What I was trying to show here is that it is true that there are many other conflicts all around the world, but every single thing will have some sort of connection with Palestine. And that kind of connection was also the reason to explain why Irish people have very strong sentiment supporting the Palestinian movement. Because what the English did to them, I'm not sure how much you read and understand about the Irish history, the famine, the genocides that they made, and the strategy they made, how they steal the land and everything in Ulster, in Belfast area, and then in the north, they are doing exactly the same thing. And even there was some statement made by officers in Palestine at that time. They said, we are establishing like another Ulster. We are establishing another Ulster here in Palestine. Ulster is referring to the north east side of the land of Ireland. So Irish people who read history, they know what is happening in Palestine. And Palestine is the last project that Britain has not yet completed in stealing other people's land. The same thing also happened in US, Canada, Australia, and many other parts of the world. And how the Quran say that? InsyaAllah next time lah. If you still come, I don't know. If there is still another program. And also one topic that we do not discuss, why America is so attached to Israel. We don't have enough time. I cannot explain. The only thing that I can give you like as a teaser, American government spend about 13 million US dollar per day for Israel. And there's a big reason for that. So if we want to heal ourselves a little bit because of what is happening now, one thing that I think, at least for myself, Americans started to realize what happened in Palestine, the blood is in their hand. Because Zionists cannot do what they do without the support from America. The best website, this website very dear to me because when I took the subject Orientalism, History and Civilization in UIA about 15 years ago, we had one semester monitoring the website. So the website known as ifamericans.org. So American government enjoy having people, teruk sikit lah dalam ni kan, so stupid about geography, who don't care about other things happen around the world. They were only concerned about what happened locally. The ignorant is a blessing for American government to give so much taxpayer money supporting Israel. Can you imagine? One of the richest country in the world, the healthcare is so expensive, the homeless people, the education has a lot of trouble, and the government is spending millions of dollars per day for Israel, which is not even part of the country. It's even illegal. So now in 2023, because of what happened in Gaza, because Hamas attacked Israel in 7th of October, for the first time ever, at least, I saw many Americans started to speak out against what the government is doing. And this is very important. The role that we need to play here is to educate ourselves and help people around us to understand the history. I didn't have the time to, as I said just now, about the Quran tadi tu. Tapi the centrality of Palestine means it will be an ongoing battle challenge. And the reason why it is like that is because Allah says in Surah Al-Isra, wa in udtum udna. If you return, we will return. If Jewish people repent and improve themselves, they will gain goodness, benefit. And that is what many rabbis speak out nowadays. Because Zionism is tarnishing Judaism from their point of view. It is not the teaching of Judaism to slaughter people like that. The rabbis are talking. But the same thing also applies to us. Allah said, wa in untum udna. If you return, we will return. Palestine is calling Muslims to return to Islam. Because Palestine can never be freed until we came back to Islam. Because Allah says in the next ayah, as I mentioned in the previous slides, Palestine will be freed when my people entered the mosque the way they entered it in the first round earlier, with the quality of Omar bin Al-Khattab, of the young generation. So like I said, Palestine is not a topic for people yang baik-baik, orang-orang soleh, orang baik-baik. Palestine isu semua orang. But if you are concerned with Palestine, it will help you to become a better person. And insyaAllah, a better Muslim as well. Because this is not just another topic. This is a topic there to have the ongoing impact until the end of the time, insyaAllah. So, penutup yang terakhir. Once upon a time, the wife of the Prophet SAW, Maimunah radhiyallahu anha, asked Prophet Muhammad about Masjid Al-Aqsa. The Prophet SAW said, go and try to pray there. And Maimunah asked, what if we do not have the means to travel to Palestine and to pray in Masjid Al-Aqsa? What can we do? The Prophet SAW said, if you cannot go to Palestine, send oil to put on the light for the mosque in Palestine. Meaning that, and Rasulullah said at the end, for those who send oil for the lights in Palestine, the reward is as if the person goes to the mosque himself or herself. So meaning that we might not be able to go there in the near time, but we can do a lot of things. Not just by money and everything, but also narrative, consciousness, talk about it, don't be scared, don't be apologetic, be open. We are blessed to live here in Ireland, a country that gives like 100% support. But we know there were some different direction, is going bit by bit. But if we are in America, if we are in United Kingdom, the challenge might be a bit different. because we need also to address the injustice committed at that land and the support given to Palestine. But here in Ireland, inshallah, alhamdulillah, we are good, to be here. And last but not least, there's a lot of things that have not been discussed, maybe a little bit exhausting and tiring even for the next session. I am more than happy to share and to go a bit in depth on some part of the history, but I hope what we have been discussed today have some beneficial in terms of answering the 7 questions that we mentioned earlier. So now, what happened why Hamas attack on 7th October 2023? What happened before that? And then what was the historical events that happened before that led to Palestine issue? And then what will be the solution? I don't know what will be the solution, but the answer to the solution might be somewhere around the very last question that we asked: why bother? Why do we need to care about Palestine? As I said, Palestine is unique because Palestine can bring the true color of each person. Hypocrites can never hide the hypocrisy. He will be revealed. She will be revealed. So by helping, supporting, learning, doing whatever we can in helping Palestinians, inshallah, we will become a better person. So when you think why bother, it's not only about helping Palestinians, which is important, but paying attention and doing something about Palestinians' issues is actually improving ourselves to become a better human, Muslim and mu'min, inshallah. So I really apologize for the lengthy presentation. Probably the last one that you're going to come. I'm never going to come to this Pakcik anymore. He's so crazy, non-stop talking. But that is how, at least I was trying to summarize about 15,000 years history that was so still impactful and significant until today in about 2 hours maybe, insyaAllah. So yang baik daripada Allah, and then yang lemah-lemah tu is my shortcomings. I apologize, including for those who are watching online if there's any. I am still energetic. I can continue for the next 5-6 hours, but I will return the microphone to the host, insyaAllah. So jazakumullah khairul jaza. May Allah SWT help us, and more importantly our brothers and sisters in Palestine, and may Allah bless all those who, insyaAllah. Wallahu a'lam. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Is this working? I don't think so. I might just use that. Thank you very much, Ustad Hasrizal, for that very dense presentation. I'm not gonna lie, halfway through my brain just went poof, because to call the history of Palestine complex is an understatement, because there's so much happening for the past thousands of years, and there's so much in terms of the history and the geography and the culture behind it and the faith and the religions behind it. And I think it's easy, me speaking for myself, it's easy to get overwhelmed by all of this, because first of all, you have the whole history of it, and you have what's happening right now at this very moment in time. And that's where you kind of question the limits of empathy and sympathy, because even though it is what's happening to the people of Palestine is tragic, but that's not the only injustice that is currently happening in the world. Like as Ustad Hazrat has said earlier, like what's happening to the people of Uyghur in China, or to the people of Kashmir, and we can only care so much. And that is a challenge that we have to bear with us, because we only have a limited amount of supply of sympathy and empathy. So it is easy to get overwhelmed. But I think, your last slide there, what can we do as people? Not only as Muslims, but as humans. because at the end of the day, we're not going to be here for a long time. And so how do we do justice to the injustice? And I think the bare minimum that we all could do is just to raise awareness. Because like for example, Sultan Abdul Hamid has tried, and he was a sultan, and even he did not get the job done, so to say. So even that person, a person of that significance and power, could not do it. So what can we do? So I think just bear in mind that we are humans. At the end of the day, we're not robots. We can't be perfect. So just you being here, listening, even taking in bits of knowledge at a time, that's you trying to be better, and that's the best that we can do. So I think, are we going to have a discussion or questions if people in the audience have any, or people watching online have any questions? I feel like after those 2 hours, it's going to be a bit tough because there's so much to unpack. And I was getting worried for Ustaz Hasrizal because I could see beads of sweat running down. So if we're not going to be opening the floor to discussions or questions, then I think that's a good end to our session today. Again, thank you all for being here. And again, thank you to Ustaz Hasrizal for giving that very wonderful and very kind of academic but dense, but also very bite-sized. Something that is so dense to be delivered in 2 hours is a challenge, and I think you've done so well. So with that, we shall close off our ceremony with Tasbih Kifarah and Surah Al-As. Oh, sorry. Any questions? Oh, do you have? Yes. Okay, so we have a question from one of the audience.
I will answer briefly.
Oh.
Well, very grateful for Ustaz to be here today and give us a bit of what is happening, what has happened all this time. Alhamdulillah, I'm very grateful for you, and alhamdulillah, I see a lot of people here today, and especially youngsters. Yeah, I mean, like I said early on, I mean, it's very fortunate for us to be an island where we kind of like have the same wavelength with the Irish people. So we're not being persecuted, we're not being kind of judged for what we think, what we believe in, you know. But at the same time, this is everywhere in the world now. The question has always been back to anti-Semitism. So, I mean, we can say whatever we like. We have our own opinion, but a lot of places, a lot of times, whatever we say, we cannot say anything about anti-Semitism, or we cannot be anti-Semitic. So I'm not sure about our audiences here. I mean, if they really understand what is anti-Semitism. I mean, we also have to be careful as well, especially the youngsters here, that, you know, even though we're in Ireland, I mean, we go out, we go to visit places, and we have to be careful as well, actually. And when we talk to people, we have to be careful in terms of how we say things, because we don't want to kind of, let's say even if you go to Arab, somewhere in Saudi, and then you say something anti-Semitic, you can easily go to jail, you know, without any questions. So it's also a warning for our youngsters, basically. For us, like me, I'm actually considered as old people here. You know, we can hold ourselves back a bit. But for youngsters here, we have to, I mean, this is also a warning for you guys, So basically, just try to be careful, not kind of get yourself kind of overexcited or overreacted in some cases, so that you have to kind of be careful how you say things. But I mean, I'm not sure if Ustaz Zura can answer this about anti-Semitism. and probably good explanation for our audiences here of, how we tackle it, how we kind of, I've listened to a lot of videos by, like you said, the rabbi and all that. They feel they themselves are anti-Semitics. Some of the rabbi themselves, they've been labeled anti-Semitic. So this is what we need to kind of understand, so that we don't put the wrong foot in the wrong place, So inshallah, if you
Yeah. Very brief, inshallah. Thank you so much, Doctor, for the final important point that should be highlighted. We are again grateful to a certain extent because of what happened on the 7th of October, because that question was difficult to tackle before 7th of October due to not having enough awareness about the differences between Zionism and Judaism. So, if anyone think that we are anti-Semitic by opposing Israel, now it is so much safer to say we are anti-Zionist and not anti-Semitic. But we also need to learn an important lesson. It was also the success of Zionists to be able to coin anti-Semitism that way to the level of legal impact on it, meaning that it becomes something established that no one can question. That is the success of their work, effort, to fight their rights, although not in the right way. So, to keep it brief and simple, do understand Israel as a state is a Zionist state. Zionist is not a religious idea at the beginning. It was an idea that came from Theodor Herzl, who was against Judaism. He hated Judaism from his diary. He's not a practicing Jew. He's not a religious. But Judaism, Zionist, is a political movement with the idea to establish a state that is confused between religion and ethnicity. So what we are doing now, we are fighting against Zionist project, and we are not anti-Semitic. And if you want to go a little bit deeper, Semitism is not exclusive only to Jews. Arabs, Muslims are also Semitic. If you go back to the original meaning of the term anti-Semitism, but they managed to monopoly the terminology and use it past Holocaust, and now it's starting to become much easier because the narrative of Zionism is about to collapse. Even yesterday, there was news, I forgot who mentioned that, but there was a concern from Israel that the West is no longer solid in supporting Zionism because of the strong opposition that is happening all around European cities in the past 2 months. So, anti-Semitism also is in trouble. But again, as I mentioned just now, as a quick way of responding, if someone claims that you are anti-Semitic, the answer is I am anti-Zionist, I am not anti-Semitic. Because it's Zionists who are doing those things. InsyaAllah. And of course, be careful, jangan orang kata provoke apa semua. Maybe one last point that I heard when I attended the talk given by Omar Barhuti in Trinity College about a month ago. One of the audiences asked him, what is your opinion regarding the Ireland's effort to remove, to get rid of the Zionist ambassador in Dublin? He responded nicely. He said, that is not the priority in Ireland. Because there are many other things that Ireland need to do first before that. Other European countries might not be able to do. And he highlighted about the convention, the Genocide Convention. Genocide Convention was a treaty signed after Bosnia and Herzegovina. All the countries that signed the treaty hold responsibility not only to bring to justice anyone commit genocide, but also have the responsibility to prevent genocide from happen. Now, American is sending military, senjata, arms and everything with their aeroplane. The aeroplane transit dekat Shannon. So Omar Baruti said, you have to push your government. Do they know about it? Because if your government know that American is using Shannon Airport to send military equipments and everything to Palestine, Ireland can be sued. Irish government can be sued under convention, Genocide Convention, enabling and fail to prevent genocide from happen. And that is one of the reasons why they really try their best not to commit to the idea that Israel is committing genocide. Because the law implication will come in a huge way. So that is one thing that we mentioned by Omar Baruti. Who was Omar Baruti? He is one of the co-founders of BDS. Yeah, boycott, divestment and sanction. And 2 days ago in Al Jazeera, there's some people ask about, is boycott work? Does boycott work? Bukan macam tu kan? Macam, do you really think boycott is working? Boycott, divestment works so much better than 143 countries voted to stop, to have ceasefire, and then one country, America, said, no, nothing can be done. Boycott, small thing, has bigger impact than waiting for United Nations to do something. And because of that, there is now a movement by the Global South, meaning that South Africa, African country, South American countries, they wanted to establish an alternative to United Nations. Because you must always remember Muammar Gaddafi's speech in 2011, about 2 years before he was assassinated. He gave speech in United Nations just like me today, because he's supposed to speak only 20 minutes, 90 minutes, but he spoke for 1 hour and a half, which is what I'm doing now. So Muammar Gaddafi said, United Nations is nonsense. It's a self-appointed meeting by this big country who has the power to veto, to serve the interests of all these only 5 countries. So this is nonsense. I propose Security Committee must have extra member from African Union, from so and so, from ASEAN, and he even proposed the solution for Palestine problem is to have a democratic country known as Israel. It is a bit funny, the name. Israel means Israel and Palestine. So that country is not Jewish country, that country is not Muslim country, it's just like another country. You choose your leader democratically and both should follow the law just like any other country. So he was proposing that in United Nations, and he threw away his speech paper to the Secretary of United Nations. Like that, you can still watch the video, and that was a very strong message that he sent. I'm not saying that it was because of that speech, but not long after that, during the Arab uprising, he was assassinated after that. So meaning that we should not put hope on United Nations to do this or that, because we know the history, League of Nations, United Nations, how they work, and now everybody sees it. So back to the question just now, nothing is too small to support, to help, and to assist, as long as we always remember dua, try to do something. And dua also is important, because if you really appreciate doa as weapon for the believers, senjata mukmin, you know that you need to improve yourself to make your doa makbul. So you need to become a better person, then only doa will work. You know? So this is also another way, insyaAllah. Wallahu a'lam.
All right then. Thank you again, Mr. Hasrizal, for that very long-winded but needed explanation. Any more questions from the floor? Yes.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi and good afternoon. Thank you very much, everyone, on behalf of the organizing committee, Halvan UK Island. Thank you very much for coming, for watching YouTube live online. And mostly, thank you, Ustaz Hasrizal, for this very informative talk. It was on the short notice, but he was more than able and willing to take up the task. So we are grateful to him, inshallah. May Allah reward him. May Allah make it easy for him for his study, which is next month with Trinity College, inshallah. And we are going to have another session like this on the 13th of January, on Saturday, with Ustaz Hasrizal again. So put that in your diary. Make sure you have time allocated for that Saturday to come here, inshallah. Any questions? No? All right. I would like to thank everyone for coming, everyone for volunteering, and for the chef, for the cook. Thank you very much for everything.